guys, you're listening to the Be Bold, Be Birmingham podcast. We are here to dance to the beat of Brum's drum, to sing the soul of our city. Now, Birmingham 2022 is only around the corner, and we're here to tell you all about Birmingham and how diverse the city really is. So I'm Melzy J. I'm your host for Be Bold, Be Birmingham, and I've got Crazy Ben over here.
Hello, welcome to the podcast, Birmingham and its wider regions.
We've had some amazing episodes so far, and I'm really, really excited to introduce our next guests. Matt Nation, he's the owner of Provide, inspired by Birmingham, plus the history, industries, and people that shape it. How are you, Matt?
I'm very well, Melzy. Thanks for having me.
Good. We were just talking about coordination earlier, weren't we?
We were.
Gonna have to look at your training collection soon. But first, let me introduce my next guest. We've got Adam Regan here, owner of Hairn Hound, DJ Left Foot, DJ. Sorry, is that a bit too much?
No,
and
that's
promoter
great.
of This Is Tomorrow. How are you, Adam?
I'm very well. I really enjoyed. I loved that introduction.
You liked it?
Are you available for gigs or
100%. I can be your MC. Call me MC Melzy.
can you dance?
I can dance, I can sing, I can act. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to drop a freestyle? What do you want?
Just what you did there. That's enough for me, to be honest.
How are you guys feeling today?
I'm good. It's nice to be back here after all these years of kind of being here, being based here. So yeah, it's nice to come back.
Oh, it's so amazing. So tell me a little bit about the Hairn Hound. Obviously, I've been there on a numerous of occasions. Probably one of my favourite spots in Birmingham for like live art, live performance. I've seen so many people so many celebrities perform there, and it's such a nice, enclosed, quite a small space, intimate environment. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your role in the Hairn Hound.
Well, I kind of took the hair on in... when was it? 2007. So it was just like an old man's pub, really. It had kind of gone down the drain a little bit from the heyday, which was probably when people like Frank Skinner and UB40 were doing their first performances there back in, I suppose that would have been the 80s, 70s and 80s. And it had declined quite a bit, but it always had potential as a venue. So myself and my partners went in for it with the brewery and ended up taking it on and then gradually building it up to the venue that it is today.
Wow, that's so dope. I mean, I've seen quite a few performances there already, and it is that kind of nice, small, intimate venue where not every day O2, not every day a big stadium. No,
I think people like playing rooms like that because everybody's very close, and wherever you are in the room, you're kind of very connected with the stage. You don't need big screens. You live in it, aren't you? You're in the moment there, which is one of the nice things about it. We've spent quite a lot of money on production as well, so the sound and the lights are great. All the hospitality backstage is good for the artists. So yeah, we've kind of built it up to a respected touring venue now, which is what I always wanted to do with the place. So
that's amazing. And how do you think it's changed, like, over the years, would you say?
In my time, I mean, it's just been a case of getting it on the map, because in the first few years we had to really push with the venue, because I was a promoter before that anyway, so I had relationships with agents. But a lot of people just thought, well, it's a pub, how can it be a serious live music venue? It's just a pub with a room. And you have to fight against that mentality. And gradually, as people come and experience it and have good experiences with the production and the vibe of the room, then it gradually sort of got to the point where we didn't have to argue that this wasn't just a pub, it was a proper music venue. But yeah, it's been a slow rise to where we are now, but yeah, I'm happy with what it
it's really respected, isn't it, on the circuit? And I think that it's relatively recently in the last few years, I suppose, that I start seeing these. Before, I'd see bands touring and they wouldn't be stopping by Birmingham. More and more they are stopping by Birmingham, and it's often in the Hairn Hounds, and if not the Hairn Hounds, quite often This Is Tomorrow, who are your company too, right?
Yeah, well, our company is myself, Matt Beck, who started This Is Tomorrow, and John Nash, who's our production manager, sound engineer. So when Matt came on board about 10, 11 years ago, obviously he had already developed This Is Tomorrow to the point where it was a respected brand, but now it's part of our kind of stable of events. So we've got Left Foot, which is what I started here in the Custard Factory in 2000. And This Is Tomorrow, they're our two main promotion brands. But we also obviously do a lot of shows around the city. So from academy level down to sort of Sunflower Lounge.
Was that
and
always
everything in between?
the plan to do lots of different venues, or was it as sort of you outgrew the venues that you have immediately at your?
It wasn't when I took on the hair at first. I wasn't really doing much elsewhere, but obviously Matt has come on board, and Matt's an amazing promoter and a programmer, and he's got a hunger and an appetite to do other things. So we've just taken on gigs when they've been offered, and that side of it has grown more and more, and it gives us the chance to put on bands like Bicep at the Forum, which is in December, and we have Matt DeMarco. We just did Fontaine's DC at the Academy, Caribou last night. So it's the bands that are not going to play at the Hair, really.
But also, I think This Is Tomorrow, from my experience, have been like if it's a quirky gig or like a quirky headliner, you'll find the appropriate bands to work with them. So it's not just like a scattering of bands with a nice headline act. It's really well thought out. You know the scene really well. That's apparent, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take much credit for the This Is Tomorrow side of things. That's Matt, really.
Sure.
Although he has got me into a lot of bands that I didn't know about before I started working with him. But yeah, in terms of the programming, especially for This Is Tomorrow, that's very much Matt's thing. He's always been a very kind of big music fan and likes new things, and working with loads of good local bands as well. So there's a very strong scene built around This Is Tomorrow. Yeah. And I think everyone likes playing for This Is Tomorrow, as it's got that family feel as well. Yeah. Everybody that works within the shows, everyone knows each other. They're either in bands or, they're kind of boyfriends or girlfriends are in bands that play with us. So it's got that real close-knit family kind of atmosphere.
And that helps put Birmingham on the map as well, presumably. The touring bands coming through and stuff.
I think so. I mean, Matt's always had his kind of eye on the ball in terms of new bands. So we just get offered so much stuff as a result of us doing it well. So you do it well and you get offered more and more, and then you get bigger bands and you get all the new bands coming through.
It's a good business model.
It is.
How does it work for like up and coming artists that maybe want to get involved? Like what would the process be for them?
Well, if you mean in terms of like local bands, Birmingham bands, we always encourage people to come to shows. It's all very well sending an email or a WhatsApp or a Facebook message. There's nothing better than that eye-to-eye contact, meeting someone, having a drink after the show, getting to kind of know them, really. And loads of bands do that. They'll come to a show and they'll end up talking to Matt, or if Tim's repping the show, or the manager, and they try to kind of get into the sort of personal relationship side of it. And that, for me, is always the best way. It's how I used to get DJ gigs back in the day. You go in and you kind of you schmooze them, don't you? You sort of make them feel like you're somebody that they want to book, and you can send all the mixes and all the kind of demos in you like, but nothing really beats that personal contact. So that's always what I recommend to young bands coming through: is come to our shows. Come and enjoy them and come to meet people.
Yeah. DJ. Let's talk about DJing for just 5 minutes, if possible, because I love music. I'm a big music fan. I was going to become a DJ. It was in a long line of my dad used to be a DJ. It's in the family genes, but I think I'm more of an MC kind of girl. Do you know what I mean?
I think so. After that introduction, definitely.
Tell us a little bit about your DJ experience and what that was like for you in Birmingham.
Yeah, well, I kind of just got into it through being a music fan and started to collect records. I mean, everybody played vinyl back then. Yeah. We're talking sort of late 80s, early 90s. And I just kind of was obsessed with music and wanted to start playing it to other people. And I think that's where the love for it comes from. It's that playing, sitting around your friend's house going, check out this new record. And it's just that on a bigger scale, let's be honest. And then obviously the whole kind of dance music thing exploded, and DJs were not just playing records, they were expected to mix them. And then from kind of playing out in bars and getting the odd slot in clubs, I realised that if I wanted to get booked regularly, I had to do my own thing. And I think that's kind of what we tried to do, put our own nights on, build up a crowd of people that would come. So you're blagging all your mates in at the start, but then hopefully building on that with a bit of a crowd. It's not something I do loads anymore, but I still love it, and
Yeah.
it's definitely been it's what's given me the kind of kickstart in this industry for sure.
And you said something really important there about, you know, DJs having to kind of like get all of their friends involved first and get as many gigs as possible and build your following. Obviously, social media's changed so much over the years, and, you know, you're someone that's been in the industry for many years. How do you think that's changed for creatives, for, you know, people that are in bands, people that are, you know, becoming a DJ? Do you feel like social media's changed the direction a little bit?
It gives you an easy route to market, doesn't it? And it gives you a chance to network, and that's what social media is. You can put a video up, or you can put a mix up, and you know that if it gets shared by the right people, it's going to reach a big audience. And obviously that wasn't the case. You know, back in the day, you might record a mix if you were lucky to get some time in the studio or with a friend that's got some recording equipment, and you'd make some tapes and you'd get those out and you'd try and get people to listen to them, and it's very different. But I suppose the principle's still the same, you know. It's about networking. But yeah, people today build careers through social media, don't they? Let's be honest, it's a very, very powerful tool. In some ways I don't like it, because I think it can be a little bit frivolous and a little bit shallow, some of the social media kind of crowd building, but other people do it organically really, really well. And you know, there's so many artists that I've discovered through the internet that I possibly wouldn't have discovered without it. So
yeah, definitely.
You have to kind of see it as a positive thing overall, I think.
I have to ask you, like, who are your top 3 artists, just out of curiosity?
God, top 3 is really tough.
Especially for you. You're quite varied.
It's really,
with your
really
taste,
tough. Blimey. Well, someone that I always return to that I just love is Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
Purely because her music means a lot to me, you know, lyrically and musically, and I love all her records. For more kind of like on the soulful tip, I'd say Chaka Khan is somebody that's just I've been into her for years. I was very much into people like Nina Simone as well. And then in later years, I suppose I got into stuff like hip hop, so Public Enemy, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, and then got into house music, so you'd have Masters at Work and people like that. Reggae has been a massive part of my life as well, and dub, so it's very hard to pick a top 3. So I'm just going to go Joni Mitchell, Chaka Khan, and God, who else would I say? I'm going to have to say Stevie Wonder as well, because he's been I've listened to him all my life and I love him. But yeah, those are a good top 3, I think.
So Matt, tell me a little bit about Provide for people that don't know about your organisation.
Okay, so Provide is a design brand that I started in 2012. We create clothing and other lifestyle and art-based products, all inspired by Birmingham and the West Midlands in some kind of way. So we started life as a retail store in the custard factory, selling products that we made ourselves alongside kind of products from other local brands and designers and people from further afield as well. The business has taken on various different forms over the years, different locations, different kind of ways of operating as well. So after the first permanent location, we did a couple of pop-up stints in the centre of town, and now we are online only.
Wow.
I think something that's quite interesting about Provide, you told me about this before, but I want to hear you say about, because you're not a Brummie, are you? And you chose.
I mean, after 10 years, I'd like to think that I'm an adopted Brummie at the very least.
Same as me, but like you chose to come to Birmingham to set Provide up, right?
Yeah, so if anybody ever asks me, like, oh, why is someone who's not from Birmingham running a business that's all about Birmingham? My response is always, well, I chose to be here.
Yeah.
You know, just because I wasn't born here, the city didn't choose me. No, I chose to be here. I could have gone anywhere, but I chose to be Birmingham. And for me, it was a decision based on opportunity.
Yeah.
Because before coming here, I'd lived in London, I'd lived in New York. I'd kind of cut my teeth in 2 of what are generally considered like the biggest and most creative cities in the world.
Yeah.
And I wanted a new challenge.
And you saw opportunity?
Yeah, I saw opportunity in Birmingham, and I saw the potential to kind of carve out something new.
Yeah.
So when I was looking to set up a business in one form or another, I went on a little road trip around the country. I went visiting different places, and I saw cities and towns which had all sorts of things kind of going on, which as a consumer or a resident, I would love to be involved with. But when I came to Birmingham, I noticed in terms of like business provision, there was a bit of a gap in the kind of thing that I was looking to do. So rather than going somewhere and competing with what was already going on, I wanted to go somewhere where I felt like there was room for someone like me to start something new.
Two interesting things off the back of that. One is now 10 years later, you're not the only person that's doing something similar. You've got people that are following, and I like to think following in your footsteps. But also, all your products are so inspired by the city. I think that's interesting, to just land in the city and then just like not bring what you do to the city, but come to the city and soak up what's already here and then put it out in your own art. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I'm a real big believer in the idea that kind of inspiration can come from anywhere and creativity can live anywhere. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people, they have these ideas that, you know, if I want to make it in the creative industries or media or the arts, I need to go to a certain place. You know, I have to be in London or Paris or New York or wherever. But I really think that creativity is bigger than that, and it doesn't just live, it's not kind of constrained by geographical boundaries. Yeah. So by kind of coming here and doing something creative and new away from London, which is where I was based previously, was almost like a test of myself to kind of say, okay, well, am I actually creative? Do I genuinely have anything to offer? Or have I just been kind of like absorbing the creative energy of London? So if I go somewhere where people don't necessarily think of all around the world as like a creative hub or an epicenter of explosive artwork, and can still produce something interesting, then hopefully that will inspire others to kind of look at themselves and go, okay, well, you know, I was born or raised here, there, or anywhere. I'm going to stay here and kind of create the city that I want to create without kind of having this to give into this pull of going somewhere, you know? Yeah.
Can I just say on behalf of Birmingham, we accept you.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
You are a shining beacon in the city of Birmingham.
Thanks very much.
Sounds like a joke, but it's
no,
true.
I'm actually genuine.
No,
I'm not.
true.
I know it did sound a bit.
Have you got
comical.
like a badge or something around there for me?
Yeah, like
I
a
think we
Birmingham
feel.
badge.
Sorry, I took the microphone away. Then we should sort of anoint you today as an honorary Brummie, mate.
Yeah.
What's the equivalent of being knighted? Being a Brummie?
Being Nand.
Nand, Nand as a Brummie.
I'll always
like
bring it back to curry.
Nice.
Melzy knows that.
It's nice that you've chosen to be here and you've made a success of it. That to me is a real good story.
Yeah.
Well, I think it says a lot about the city as well. When I kind of got off the train the first time here, I just spent the entire day walking and talking, just going into businesses, chatting to people, asking them questions about the city. And I couldn't believe how friendly everybody was. You know, having lived in big cities all my life, I was used to people being disinterested, suspicious, rude when talking to strangers. But I came to Birmingham, which is another big city, and the reception I got from people that didn't know me and didn't owe me anything was phenomenal. And that really was one of the main reasons for choosing to live here, is that, you know, if I'm going to set up a new life somewhere, it should be somewhere where people welcome newcomers with open arms.
Any idea why Birmingham? Because Birmingham is known for that. Any idea why? Or is that?
I think Brummies don't take themselves too seriously.
We've got the bands.
You know, we've got
vibes.
We're very self-deprecating, aren't we? We like to. Well, I mean, this is a good sign for me of somebody that's become a friend, is that I'll just take the piss out of them all the time. And you being one of those people.
I know,
Ben. But that's just Brummie humour, I think. We like a bit of sarcasm and a bit of self-deprecation. So I think welcoming strangers or people from out of town that have got good ideas, I think that we want more of that, don't we? It doesn't. That's the thing. People don't seem to come to Birmingham to settle from other cities to do things.
Yeah.
What, like Manchester or maybe or London, obviously, is the big one. So I think Brummies are always like, "Oh, right, you want to come here, do you?
Cool.
Welcome. Sit down, Bav."
This is a really good city for creative people to kind of cut their teeth, because it can be hard at times. We were talking before we started recording, actually, about how hard it can be to sell tickets to events and gigs and things like that. So if you're prepared to kind of really put a shift in and hone your craft and turn up on the days when the support maybe isn't there, if you can get through those periods, then you'll be much more kind of fully formed for the time when, you know, that light does choose to shine on you.
Music's another, aside from the city, it's probably worth mentioning that music's quite a big influence on your design too, right?
Yeah, so when I was choosing to set up the business, I was leaving a job that I really wasn't at home and didn't really enjoy. So I thought, if I'm going to start something, it should be something that allows me to indulge in the things that I love the most, which was people, products, and music.
Yeah.
So on a very basic level, opening my own store allowed me to meet people, sell cool products, and listen to whatever music I wanted to listen to all day.
Very cool.
And that's kind of led over the years to various collaborations with musicians and artists, whether that's like just having collectives DJ in the shop, doing product collaborations with club nights like some Cellar, or using bands for photo shoots to kind of show our product, as well as introduce the Provide audience to music that people are making. Yeah.
Collaboration. Can we talk a little bit more about that? I've seen some of your collaboration stuff. I think that's really interesting. Do you do the outreach to people, or are people coming to you, or how does that work?
So every collaboration is totally different. Sometimes a collaborator will approach Provide. Other times I'll approach them. Sometimes it could be as casual as just kind of having a passing conversation in the street, which 6 months later ends up as a product. But what really matters is making sure that the two parties involved are on the same page in terms of what their brand stands for, you know, what they're looking to create product-wise, but also in terms of like impact on the city and the wider culture.
I love the Some Cellar t-shirts. I thought they're iconic.
Thanks. That's been one of the I'd say most fun and most successful collaborations of recent years.
The fact that it obviously kind of referenced it was from the underpass, was it in Erdington?
Yeah, so George and Brad from Some Cellar, which is an incredible club night. If anybody's watching this and is looking for something to do, go and find Some Cellar and go and join them on a night out. They both grew up in North Birmingham, and they both have these kind of vivid shared memories as youngsters of kind of being driven into the city centre through the underpasses and seeing these kind of almost like mosaic style patterns on the walls. And for them, those visual triggers sparked these kind of amazing memories of kind of coming into Birmingham as a youngster. So we took that pattern, that design, and kind of developed it into a pattern which then made its way onto like a football shirt, because they're keen football fans.
Unfortunately, they support the wrong football team.
I don't even think we should get into that.
We definitely
shouldn't.
But yeah, and that's been great fun, and they've kind of been able to share it with some of their DJs, and we've done some fun photo shoots and running around dodging traffic, taking pictures of the shirts as well.
They just really kind of like they symbolised the time for me when those T-shirts came out, and they were just you just saw them everywhere. You know, I don't know how many he had made, but they just, whenever we did a night, you'd always get one or two that would pop up.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of, I really like the fact that it was a real North Birmingham pride thing, because obviously South Birmingham is where a lot of the stuff happens, and
it's very true.
North Birmingham used to have a lot of things happening in terms of clubs, and Handsworth was really big, and Aston, and you know, like Mothers in Erdington. There were big things happening back in the day, and there isn't so much now. So they really felt like they were kind of North Birmingham pride thing, and I like that. If, you know, despite the Aston Villa connection.
Why do you think there is not as much stuff on that side of Birmingham? Would you say?
I don't know. I think traditionally Moseley has been the kind of bohemian, creative, arty suburb of Birmingham, and then out of Moseley, obviously, you know, Borsall Heath, which is a bit closer to town. Digbeth is the next stop as well. Then you go the other way, and you've got Kings Heath, and then Sturchley. Those kind of like areas have become quite a focus of creatives, if you like, wanting to live. And then when people live in an area, then venues and shops and cafes pop up, don't they, to cater for them. So I don't know. I think it's a shame. I think if you talk to someone like Amo Tarwa from Punch, who's obviously a very proud North Brummie, and hear some of his ideas about how he wants to develop North Birmingham. And obviously the Commonwealth Games is happening in North Birmingham, so hopefully it'll give it a real boost.
We talked a little bit earlier about the spirit, if you like, of like Brummies being quite friendly, quite open, quite welcoming. Musically, is there a personality in the sound of music that comes out of this city, do you think?
This is funny you should ask that, because we talked about this the other day, and I think that is probably one of the things that makes somewhere like Manchester or Liverpool or Bristol stand out more in the terms of a musical sound, because Birmingham has always been a complete melting pot. Let's be honest, the most famous bands from Birmingham have nothing in common. Black Sabbath, UB40, Still Pulse, Duran Duran, you know, they have nothing in common musically. I know obviously we've had quite a surge with the kind of grime scene and JK and you know, all the rest of the guys that have come out, and Desper Robinson and everything that he's doing. That has created a bit of a Birmingham sound, but I think we've always been very diverse. I mean, we're very diverse racially. We're one of the most racially diverse cities in the country, so that's reflected in the music. And obviously, I think it being an industrial city, that's probably had, like, that obviously influenced Black Sabbath. Creating a whole genre, if you like, with heavy metal. You know, that came out of the industrial sound of Aston. UB40 grew out of sort of inner city Birmingham that was massively influenced by Jamaican culture, obviously. Irish lads, Scottish lads, Jamaican lads all coming together, influenced by that sound. But there isn't a definitive, really. Like Manchester, you think of Manchester and you think Joy Division, and then you think, obviously, later on Stone Roses, and then later on Oasis. And they've all got a common thread. Whereas Birmingham, not
it's
so
too
much.
different.
Especially through those decades.
I think one thing which is uniquely Brummie is that although people here may not shout loads about how amazing what they're doing is, they're grafters and they get on with it. And the output of stuff here, not just creatively, but all kinds of businesses and creative stuff that goes on in the city is world class. And I think a lot of the time, actually, Brummies are just too busy grafting to stand around and shout about how great they are. They're just too busy doing it.
We were learning about that in the episode before, when we were talking about heritage. We were talking about the jewellery quarter. We were talking about the history of Brummies being like a very creative making city. We were talking about Brummies making buttons and sending them all over the world.
And bricks.
Just sitting down and working.
So, one final question. Adam, you've got to go first. What makes Birmingham bold?
Wow, what makes Birmingham bold? Well, it's one of the things I said earlier about it being very diverse. I think when you grow up in Birmingham and you go to other cities that aren't diverse, or if you go somewhere like, you know, down to Cornwall or up to some kind of northern cities that aren't very diverse, genuinely shocked that you just see white people. You know, I kind of went to Wales for the first time as a kid, and I was like, how come there's no Asian or black people anywhere? It was just like, it's just different. Birmingham's, you just kind of grow up with that kind of
Yeah.
total
mentality.
is like everyone's different in Birmingham, and I think that's one of the greatest strengths of the city, is that we are very, very diverse and now young as well. Diverse and young are two very bold and positive things, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. What about yourself, Matt? What makes Birmingham bold?
In a similar vein to what Adam said, I think it's made up of people who have chosen to be here. You know, whether they've come from elsewhere in the country or whether they've come from the other side of the world, the fact that you have this mixture of people who are born and bred Brummies alongside people whose families have come and maybe their first, second, third generation Brummies, this kind of mixing of different worldviews, different cultures, different approaches to business and art and everything else makes for a city like no other.
Absolutely.
That nearly brought a tear to my eye. That
I
did.
know.
The way he brought that together then was lovely.
We'll put some nice music.
It really needs a little bit of a sort of soft focus on his face as he was saying it.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you both here on Be Bold Be Birmingham. You can catch the episodes on the Birmingham City Council website. #Be Bold Be Birmingham. Tell your nan, tell your mom, tell your brethren, tell everybody to tune in to Be Bold in Birmingham. Yeah. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.